I'm going to tell you a story. The first thing I understand is time doesn't work the way I think it does. You can only work on one time. You walk in the cult. Welcome once again to Booty Tickled and the True, and the Booty Tickled and the True NLP. And I'm going to be continuing my, well, this is how NLP apparently actually works, and let's see what we can do to not, have it, as I've said before, I'm pretty sure, I'm about a third, I think I'm 10 out of 25, maybe I'm 9 out of 25 of the total list of the 2-hour video that I'm watching. But, so far, I'm pretty sure that every single one of these has been used on me. Aggressively so. Which is extremely violent. Because it's weaponized psychology. It's not cool to use weaponized psychology against the Buddhist monk who took a vow of non-violence. It's not cool. It's no less violent just because it's psychology that you weaponize. Anyway. Puppet strings. Guiding minds without them. Yeah, these are actually kind of terrifying, sounding by themselves. The core concept of puppet strings is basically guiding actions so they seem like the target's own. It's like planting a seed in the garden and watering it the right way. It's things like in advertising when they say you should act now. It's all about timing and tone and understanding people's triggers. But it's also all about creating rapport and empathy. To guide someone to believe it was all their own idea. And it doesn't talk much about defending oneself from it. But it does. There is a quote about this. It's not about control, but as a mastery of the unseen, which I think is actually kind of really pretentious. But it's not I'm quoting it, so what else? So basically, the way puppet strings works is effectively weaponizing empathy, which is super duper grimy. The thing is, creating rapport. That's what empathy is all about, is creating rapport. Actually, in the Aberrant game system, when it talks about the natural empath wits enhancement, it basically gives you extra dice to the rapport skill. Empathy, rapport. But the thing is, I've done a lot of, in my lifetime, I've worked running a painting company, and I've worked, selling vacuums, and, they teach you about, building rapport all the time in places like that. It's a huge thing in sales. But the thing about that is, since it's relying on creating rapport and empathy, basically, if you feel like you have suddenly started getting a connection to someone, especially if it seems very sudden, and a lot of it is you basically you feel like they're just they really get you. It could be a good thing. It could be. But just in case, try to just step back and see if they're how much effort they're putting into empathizing with you, and try to feel where it's coming from. Because if it's coming from a place of lack of sincerity, it'll probably be pretty easy for you to tell. But in this case, I guess the best defense in that case would be a good offense, is learning to develop and trust your own empathy, so you don't end up so you basically have the ability to tell when someone is trying this BS on you. Presupposition poison. This is evil itself. People agree to lies every day without realizing it. and this is one of the most forbidden NLP tricks for a very good reason. Presuppositions are essentially hidden assumptions wrapped in how things are said. And it's basically like once someone does it to you and puts in a presupposition, they're essentially planting a seed and counting on your own brain to water it. So what you do is you slow down and you listen, you pause and you wait, and you ask what assumptions are waiting for you in the words. In the words of the question that you're being asked. The moment you expose what that assumption is, the assumption, which by itself is poisonous, like assumptions are poison. They are like, back when I was in college and we had, like, I took this class in symbolic logic. Awesomely enough, I was able to take it for math credit, even though it was a philosophy course. But essentially, like, assumptions are the death of logic. Which is why presupposition poison is so dangerous, is it counts on basically like using the wording of something to wrap up an assumption to make it look like and seem like it's the truth. And so like anytime that you are basically like listening to someone and you've agreed with them a fair amount, like maybe you've already discovered that they're like, maybe they've already set up a devil's trap for you, or maybe you thought they tried. Like, just as I just said, like, slow down and listen and just ask what assumptions are being like put forward. And as soon as you realize what the assumptions are, usually you can be like, oh, wow, there is no reason to do anything but disbelieve that, because that is an assumption based literally actually in the wording of how it's being put forward to me. And that is something to not listen to. All right, now you were watching. Please feel free to like, share, comment, and subscribe.